are uncontested facts. We've listened to the hearings. We've read the transcripts. And it's clear that this president acted in a way that not only violates the public trust, he jeopardized our national security, and he undermined our democracy. He acted in a way that rises to the level of impeachment. That is why we are considering H-Res 755 today, a resolution impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Congress has no other choice but to act with urgency. You know, when I think back to the founders of this nation, they were particularly concerned about foreign interference in our elections. They understood that allowing outside forces to decide American campaigns would cause the fundamentals of our democracy to crumble. But the evidence shows that is exactly what President Trump did. Not only allowed, but solicited foreign interference, all to help him win his re-election campaign. What shocks me, quite frankly, about so many of my Republican friends is their inability to acknowledge that President Trump acted improperly. It seems the only Republican members willing to admit the president did something wrong have either already retired or announced plans they intend to retire at the end of this Congress. I get it. It's hard to criticize the president of your own party. But that shouldn't, that shouldn't matter here. I admired President Clinton when he was president of the United States, and I still do today. But when this House impeached him, which I didn't agree with, I went to the House floor and I said I thought what President Clinton did was wrong. Because moments like this call for more than just reflexive partisanship. They require honesty, and they require courage. Are any Republicans today willing to muster the strength to say that what this president did was wrong? Now let me say again what happened here. The president withheld congressionally approved military aid to a country under siege to abstract a personal political favor. He did not do this as a matter of U.S. policy. He did this for his own benefit. That is wrong. And if that is not impeachable conduct, I don't know what is. Now, I've heard some on the other side suggest that this process is about overturning an election. That is absurd. This is about President Trump using his office to try and rig the next election. Now, think about that. We like to say that every vote matters, that every vote counts. We learned in grade school about all the people who fought and died for that right. It is a sacred thing. You know, I remember as a middle schooler in 1972, leaving leaflets at the homes of potential voters, urging them to support George McGovern for president. No relation, by the way. I thought he had a great last name. And he was dedicated to ending the war in Vietnam and feeding the hungry and helping the poor. I remember, even to this day, what an honor it was to ask people to support him, even though I was too young to vote myself. And what a privilege it was later in life to ask voters for their support in my own campaigns. Now, I've been part of winning campaigns, and I've been part of losing ones too. People I thought would be great presidents, like Senator McGovern, were never given that chance. Make no mistake, I was disappointed, but I accepted it. I would take losing an election any day of the week when the American people render that verdict. But I will never, and I mean I will never be okay if other nations decide our leaders for us. And the President of the United States is rolling out the welcome mat for that kind of foreign interference. To not act would set a dangerous precedent, not just for this president, but for every future president. The evidence is as clear as it is overwhelming. And this administration hasn't handed over a single subpoenaed document to refute it, not one. Now it's up to us to decide whether the United States is still a nation where no one is above the law, or whether America is allowed to become a land run by those who act more like kings or queens, as if the law doesn't apply to them. You know, it's no secret that President Trump has a penchant for cozying up to notorious dictators. He's complimented Vladimir Putin, congratulated Rodrigo Duterte, lauded President Erdogan, fell in love with Kim Jong-un. I can go on and on and on. And maybe the president is jealous that they can do whatever they want. These dictators are the antithesis of what America stands for. And every day we let President Trump act like the law doesn't apply to him, we move a little closer to them. You know, Benjamin Franklin left the Constitutional Convention and said, the founders have created a republic if you can keep it. There are no guarantees. Our system of government will persist only if we fight for it. And the simple question for us is this: are we willing to fight for this democracy? I expect we'll have a lot of debate here today. I hope everyone searches their conscience. To my Republican friends, imagine any Democratic president sitting in the Oval Office, President Obama, President Clinton, any of them. Would your answer here still be the same? No one should be allowed to use the powers of the presidency to undermine our elections or cheat in a campaign, no matter who it is and no matter what their party. We all took an oath not to defend a political party, but to uphold the Constitution of the United States. History is testing us. We can't control what the Senate will do, but each of us can decide whether we pass that test, whether we defend our democracy, and whether we uphold our oath. Today, we'll put a process in place to consider these articles on the House floor. And when I cast my vote in favor, my conscience will be clear. Before I turn to our ranking member, I want to first recognize his leadership on this committee. We take up a lot of contentious matters up here in the Rules Committee, and often we are on different sides of many issues. But he leads with integrity, and he cares deeply about this House. There will be passionate disagreement here today, but I have no doubt we will continue working together in the future and side by side on this committee to better this institution. And let me also state for the record that Chairman Nadler is unable to be here today because of a family medical emergency. And we are all keeping him and his family in our thoughts and prayers. Testifying instead today is Congressman Raskin. He is not only a valued member of this committee, but also the Judiciary and Oversights Committee. In addition, Congressman Raskin is a constitutional law professor, so he has a very comprehensive and unique understanding of what we're talking about here today. And I appreciate him stepping in and testifying this morning. I also want to welcome back Ranking Member Collins, a former member of the Rules Committee, someone who I don't often agree with, but someone who I respect nonetheless and appreciate all of his contributions to this institution. Now, having said that, now we'll turn this over to our Ranking Member, Mr. Cole, for any remarks he wishes to make.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by reciprocating